Welcome to the Window Wisdom Podcast, your guide to replacement windows and more. Hi, I'm your host, Ted Kirk, and this is episode number 17. We were having an internal discussion recently why windows are such a smart investment, specifically the Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows. So we have our producer here, Rebecca, and we're going to talk about that. So welcome to the podcast, Rebecca.
Thanks, Ted. It's good to be back. This is our first episode of 2021. We're excited about bringing more content with the Window Wisdom podcast. So we're just looking forward to this year.
Absolutely. So let's jump right in and talk about why our windows are such a smart investment.
Well, Ted, many people don't look at windows as an investment. Can you help explain why that's the case?
Well, I think to do that, first, let's talk about the term investment versus maybe the term price. And a lot of times when people are considering windows, they're just thinking, oh, let me get a price on windows. And for the most part, that's a correct way to look at it, unless you're really considering the Infinity from Marvin fiberglass window, which basically means you'll never have to replace them again. So there's a lot of benefits to having a window that is, done once, done right, and not have to fool with it again. The long-term returns are just huge. The other thing I'd like for people to consider is appreciation versus depreciation. For example, when you go buy a vehicle, you drive it off the lot, a new car, and typically, it's going to start depreciating right then and there. When you invest in new windows, you're doing that in an asset, usually your largest asset, your home, that will be appreciating over time. And just simply having something that is so positive in terms of what you get back is basically how we look at this as an investment. So there's so many things that we can say that windows do for your home that will put money back in your pocket. So you're just simply not paying for it. You're not simply getting a price. You'll actually get a return on this project.
Well, I guess you could look at other projects too as investments. So with so many home improvement projects out there, why would a homeowner choose to invest in new windows instead of some of the other projects?
Well, great question. One of the things that you look at when you improve by replacing your windows, you're improving your home both interior and exterior. There's so many things, like you said, that you can do, whether it's redoing your floors, adding landscaping, remodeling your kitchen. Those things generally improve one area of the home or the other. When you replace your windows, you're kind of improving your whole home. This is really replacing a lot of surface area that kind of protects you from the elements, the sun, the wind, the rain, the heat and the cold, the UV, bugs, those type of things. So how you're really earning your return on your investment is you should see that your energy bills will go down. You will have lower maintenance cost associated with your home. For example, if you have wood windows, one of the most expensive parts of maintaining your home is having to paint those every 5 to 7 years in our market, and having to deal with a lot of rot and deterioration because of the moisture and the humidity that we have in the air. The other thing is, kind of look at it from a cost standpoint. People don't have a problem a lot of times investing a lot of money in a kitchen remodel, which I've heard people investing, $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 or more. And that's going to eventually go out of style and need to be done again. If you choose a window like the Infinity from Marvin fiberglass window, it's such a classic, timeless style, and the long-term performance is going to hold true, for as long as it's in the home. So again, with it being fiberglass and the patented Ultrex fiberglass, you don't have to do the project again.
So I know you wouldn't lie to our listeners, but are there other sources that back up this information to prove that replacing your windows is a good investment?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of things on there. If you watch some of the shows, like on HGTV, you'll see a lot of times they're replacing the windows. Just some of the things that I've shared with you, pretty common sense things. But there's also something called the cost versus value report. This is put out by Hanley Wood. They're a research firm that basically they look at a lot of home improvement projects and it's based on the resale value. And right away, when you replace windows, you can recoup around that 70% mark. Now, this is just based on resale after doing the project. This is not counting what you're going to save on your maintenance, what you're going to save on the energy bills, what you're going to do to enhance your curb appeal. Well, maybe that one's included, but there's so many other things associated with it as well. But yeah, there's a lot of data out there, so you don't have to just take my word for it. And we've seen it over and over and heard it from our customers as well.
Ted, just as a side note, I will plan on linking some of these resources that you're referring to in the description section of this podcast so our listeners have easy access to do the research themselves. So once we've talked about windows being an investment, what about the size of the investment? How can a homeowner plan for it, and do they have any payment options?
Sure. One of the things I like to point out to folks is, cheap windows aren't good. Good windows aren't cheap. And we'd rather see somebody get the project done right, do it one time, and be happy with it, and have long-term results. With that said, a lot of people don't want to just drain their savings. You've worked hard to build that little nest egg. So, it's hard to drain your savings and say, okay, I'm going to get new windows. Unfortunately, there's a lot of folks in the marketplace that have kind of built that scenario that you can just get cheap windows. They're looking at it as more of a commodity type option, and that couldn't be further from the truth. What we've done is we've offered many flexible payment options where we've partnered with some finance companies. So you can do a same as cash option where you have 0% interest. We generally run that program anywhere from 6 to 24 months. Also, we offer low payment, low interest options as well for those that, maybe need a little bit longer. They want to put a down payment down and start realizing the return on their investment. And we always feel like everyone, no matter what your budget and what size home or anything that you're in, deserves good windows. So we allow people to break this project up in phases. We have a phrase around here. We say sometimes just do the worst first. And that way you get started and you can really experience how big of a difference it makes in your home, and you can do it on your terms.
So that's good information. I know we like to keep these podcasts short, but one last question, Ted. Are there other things that make windows a smart investment? Any final thoughts?
Absolutely. I think along with some of the return on investment items that we talked about earlier with the energy bills and the maintenance and so forth, there's a lot of intangibles as well. So, for example, just being able to safely clean your windows from the interior, not getting up on a ladder and risking falls that could result in injury or death. Sound reduction. I had somebody one time, a homeowner, tell me that they have never experienced such a good night's sleep because they had an old air conditioner system that was outside their master bedroom window. And every time that thing fired up, it sounded like an old dinosaur. And, their only regret with the project was not doing that sooner. So, the other thing is the comfort. When you're sitting in front of windows that are cold and drafty, or you got a lot of heat coming through, that makes a big difference. And as we mentioned, the beauty of it as well. One last, story I'd like to end with. There was one of our counterparts up in Pittsburgh, a guy named John, sat on a panel one time when we first got started with Infinity, and somebody asked John, they said, "John, how are you selling these Infinity windows and doing so well at it when there's companies out there saying that windows should cost $189? And I thought it was pretty funny when John grabbed his glasses and he kind of held them up in the air, and then he threw them down on the desk and said, "Listen, I paid 4 times as much of that for these specs. Do you think that I can get a quality window installation with quality materials and a window that's going to stay in the home for the rest of my life for $189? It's just not possible." And I think that's a great story for people to really take to heart when you start looking at this and you can look at it as an investment, not just a price shopping thing where you're going to be doing this over and over again. So that's one of the things that, made us switch from offering all these other types of windows to just the Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows, because they truly are a smart investment.
That's a really good example, Ted. And it just kind of puts things in perspective that if, we're going to spend that much on a kitchen remodel or a car or even the glasses that we wear, then why would we not consider investing in our home's windows, something that's going to be there and protect our home and family? So great analogy.
Well, we'd love to help. If anybody has any questions regarding the information that you've heard here today, feel free to reach out. We'd love to come out and show you the product and give you a proposal on your home. And if you've liked the content that you've heard, please feel free to share it with others. We can be found on Google Play, iTunes, or Spotify.
That's right. And you can also find us at ngwindows.com under the resource section.
Thank you. Thanks for listening.